Hey guys, I am here with Shawn Crenshaw. I'm doing another Black Men Spotlight, and I'm super excited about this one because his purpose and his mission is super in line with everything that I've been trying to do for the past 2 years. Shawn is the owner and founder of Ovation Fragrance for Men, and his tagline is "Every man deserves innovation." And how perfect is that? With Affirmations for Black Men for the past 2 years, not only has Shawn reached out to me praising me about what I'm doing, but he is here in Philadelphia, all the way from Atlanta, guys. He flew out here to come and talk to me. And not only do I feel so special, but the fact that an owner, a CEO, someone of your caliber, look how he's dressed. Okay. And I have been doing these affirmations on my phone for the past couple years with his content and everywhere where you're going. I'm so proud of you. I am so honored to be sitting here with you. I feel so special that you reached out to me wanting to work with me. I know everything that I'm doing has a big following and big engagement, but your attention to detail to your work, I think it even shows in your suit and how you smell and your fragrances. And I just want my audience to get to know you because you are exactly the type of man that I want my audience to be exposed to. That I got to meet you, I got to talk to you, your energy, your light, your purpose, your passion. You are everything that a Black man is and who he is and who you embody. And I'm so excited to talk to you. So, hey, Shawn.
Hello, Nicole. First of all, just thank you for receiving my message. I reach out to a lot of people that I want to collaborate with, and I was so ecstatic to have you respond and invite me to your platform. Your platform is beautiful, it is needed, it is wonderful, and I knew, in my core, I knew that I had to reach out to you to offer whatever I can to support what you're doing. So thank you. I appreciate you giving me this opportunity to share my brand, share my story, and support your platform. I mean, you're doing some great things, and I know you're seeing the momentum of all the great things you're doing. So thank you. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Thank you. A big part of the reason why I do what I do is because I feel like there's not enough imagery of who Black men are outside of rap culture, outside of sports or being over sexualized in certain spaces. And I feel like, the Black role models that we have today are only 10% of who we are. And it's not the full picture. And I really want to get into the full picture of who you are and what you're about and how you started Ovations for Men and why. So, Shawn, introduce yourself to the people.
No, thank you. Yeah, I started Ovation to really address something that I knew was prevalent just in our society, and that was the recognition, celebration, uplift of men of color. And when I started the brand, there was all types of turmoil going on in the country. We had the shooting in Ferguson. We had the incident in New York of a young man that lost his life just selling cigarettes. We had George Floyd, and all of those things impacted me on how I perceived the value of people who look like me in the world. And I knew that those young men didn't deserve to lose their life. There are other young men out here who feel the threat of losing their life just on how they look, where they're from, how they talk. And I wanted to do something to at least address the negative imagery, the negative narrative. And I have a passion for fragrance, and I wanted to express my love for people who look like me, walk like me, talk like me through the eyes, through the lens of a fragrance. And it, when the idea came to me, I knew it was my passion. I knew it was my life purpose to further push the advantages, the power of fragrance. And so the name Ovation came to me, when I thought of a word that expressed the celebration, expressed the applause that was missing. Ovation was the word, and I knew it. I just knew that I was going to name my fragrance Ovation. And then the tagline, "Every man deserves an ovation," it encapsulated everything that I wanted my brand to stand for. Every man deserves an ovation. And so, so we started the journey. I knew nothing about fragrance. It was just me networking and reaching out to people and trying to understand who the players were in the industry, understanding what it would take to start a fragrance. And so my entrepreneurial journey has been one literally from the ground up. No family connections in the fragrance industry, none of that. Just straight desire, passion, commitment to make it happen.
Wow.
So, yeah.
I really want you guys to understand that Shawn is walking in his purpose. This isn't just a brand that's trying to sell you something or that's trying to monetize off of you. So we have a purposeful Black man who's selling a fragrance based off of he believed that the perception of Black men impacted himself. The perception of Black men impacted other Black lives. And that's exactly the reason why I started Affirmations for Black Men, is because I wanted there to be a different lens of which people looked at Black men. And so every affirmation that I give every single day or that I post or repost, this is how I see Black men. I need the world to know that I love Black men, that I appreciate Black men, that I value Black men. Even though the world doesn't value us, right? When we started the Black Lives Matter movement, all we were saying was our lives matter. And even that was an issue.
Yeah.
Our lives, like we deserve to be alive. And people had a problem with that. And so there was so much hate that I received on the end of just showing Black men love and appreciation. And it just kind of shed a light on how important my walk is, on how important this purpose is. And you are in such alignment with everything that I stand for and everything that I do. So I want to ask you, what sort of battles have you been struggling with on this journey, not just trying to, but shifting the perception and creating new perceptions of Black men?
No, that's, it's been weird in a way because, again, our tagline, every man deserves an ovation. There have been moments during my journey where there was pushback. People would actually challenge the idea that every man deserves an ovation. And this is from, in our community and outside our community. The way I responded to that, I would say, hey, it's like celebrating a birthday, right? Everyone has a birthday. Everyone has a birthday, and everyone is entitled to be or should be celebrated on their birthday. That's the moment where you entered this level of consciousness, this universe. That's worthy of celebration. There's value in that. And just like any great birthday, you're invited to the party. Everybody has a birthday. You're invited to the party, and we invite as many people as we can to help celebrate kind of that, Black men's existence. And you'll be surprised at how many people would comment to say, not every man deserves an ovation. And I get it. And I recognize where that sentiment comes from. But I think the power that we need to understand is if someone doesn't, in your opinion, deserve an ovation, there needs to be mechanisms where we inspire. There needs to be resources and avenues that hold accountability, and create these connections where people can see themselves greater than where they currently are. And that's what I'm trying to do with the fragrance. I want people to be inspired by where they currently see themselves to where they can be. And that is the power of fragrance, because again, you can wear a great suit and people can see it, they can touch it, but can they smell it? And can you smell it? Can you smell your greatness? Does greatness have a smell? Does greatness have an aroma? Does greatness project? It does. And so for us, our brand message is every man deserves an ovation. And so it's through the beauty and artistry of fragrance that I want to positively impact how you feel about yourself. Because when you walk out of that door, there's an aura of greatness, surrounding you. You deserve it. It's a must-have in the world that we live in. Every tool that you can tap into to keep your confidence high, to keep your self-esteem high, to keep your dreams high. I want to help support that. And this is just my humble way of doing it through a fragrance.
I love that. Wow. Because who's doing that? I love that. And I think people kind of take for granted how important
Yeah.
self-perception can
Yeah.
be, especially for Black men.
Yep.
I was talking to a owner of a beard oil company, and he has similar values to you as to, Black men grooming themselves and feeling confident. And one of the things that he said when we were on the phone, he was like, Black men are some of the most desired, but also the most hated
Yeah.
at the same time.
Yeah.
And I was like, I had to unpack that. I was like, what? And wanting to be used, but also being disregarded. And so as a Black man, he said, every single day it's hard. Every single day. And so when you put on this fragrance as a reminder that there are Black men out there supporting you, that there are Black men out there who want to uplift you and want to invest in you, I want to go into this next conversation of what does it mean to have an actual brand that you wear that actually cares about you?
Oh my goodness. Let me tell you something. And I've had this conversation throughout my entrepreneurial journey. People will argue up and down about the value of that $400 fragrance that they bought at the department store. And I always say this, I say, the person whose name on that fragrance, do they care about you? Can you actually reach out and talk to them? Can you reach out and talk to, Ralph Lauren or Gucci or Yves Saint Laurent? Can you talk to them? Can you talk to them? Do they actually come out and talk to you? And I say for your fragrance, given the power of scent, given the power of fragrance, and given how much money you spent on it, okay, it needs to give you more than just the pleasure of how much you spent on your fragrance. Your fragrance needs to be more than that. And so for me, that is part of the messaging for my brand is it's more than just a fragrance. It's more than just an ornament on your dresser. It's a standalone above everything else. Just like, you want to put value on the name brand on your shoes, the name brand on your car, the name brand on your tag, on your clothes. Here's an opportunity to place value in a brand that is dedicated to you. They cannot confidently say that their brand is dedicated to people who look like me, look like my brother, look like my uncle, look like my cousins. They can't say it, but I can, because I put my name on it. I put my name on it. We don't take these things into account as consumers. I think, we use brand names and the amount of money that we separate ourselves from to validate our existence. And I want to challenge that. I'm like, it's not about, the amount of money that you separate yourself from to validate your existence. That's a wrong way of applying your money.
And I want people to understand. You see the pride that this man has in himself, in his name, and who he is and what he produces. And I want to talk about internal power, because when we buy products, we are sourcing our power and how we feel about ourselves when we put things on. Yeah. And you're putting something on that has Shawn's name on it, and you are connecting
Absolutely.
to your internal power through another Black man. So do you want to feel powerful when you're wearing Gucci, when you're wearing Fendi, when you're wearing another man's name and you're putting it on as a Black man? No. Or do you want to source your power from another Black man? So what does it truly, this is so deep. This is so deep, because our community, our dollar does not stay within our community, and it's for a reason, because we have a literal problem with feeling pride within ourselves and feeling pride within each other. And that's why we don't, connect and collaborate enough.
Right. Oh man. And you just hit on a collaboration. Couple of things. So one, we don't see the value in ourselves to allow ourselves to further invest in ourselves. That's the problem. We need to invest in ourselves, and it's layered and it's nuanced. There's the physical investment, the psychological investment, spiritual investment, emotional investment, and I think just as all those things show up as a consumer. There's plenty of psychological studies, consumer studies, where we are more attracted to things that help address the deficit, the deficiency in how we feel about ourselves. even to the point where someone that looks like us tries to address it, we still devalue that effort. And I found that, and that's probably been one of the most challenging and disappointing things of my entrepreneurial journey, is really to go to my community and really have to toil to show the value of what we're trying to do and what we're bringing. And I think we're at a point now where people are, the tide is turning slowly. There are more people who, recognize the importance of supporting Black business. To your point, the dollar doesn't circulate, and there's power in circulating our dollar. And this is just, again, another tool, another mechanism that I want to humbly offer to my community to do that. But collaboration is really what gives it scalability. We can't scale until we collaborate. Why should we compete over a shrinking market when we can collaborate to grow the market? And I say that all the time. Let's stop competing and shrinking the market, chopping the market up. Those are your people. These are my people. Those are their people. We're segregating the market. Let's collaborate, bring all those people together. If you're a fragrance connoisseur or fragrance purchaser, you just don't have one fragrance. The great thing about fragrance is people who wear fragrances, they have multiple fragrances. There's a lane, there's a purpose, there's a mood, a vibe that fragrances provide. And so I always challenge people. I was like, listen, I'm not saying that this be your only fragrance. I'm saying that it's one of many that you have in your fragrance wardrobe. And so I try to make sure that I have a message to both consumers and other brands about how we can gain some real estate on that person's dresser. How can we touch that person to inspire them to add us to their closet, to their dresser, to wherever they keep their products. How can we inspire? And so, collaboration is the key, and a lot of people just don't see the value in collaborating.
And I want my followers to know, guys, it is that deep.
Yeah.
Right? Shawn made me feel valuable by flying out here, by coming out here to talk to me, by investing in me, and I'm making others feel valuable through my content. You can tell that we feel valuable within ourselves by the way that we're dressed, by how we smell. And so this is value. I mean, the content that we're producing is valuable. And the products that you're producing is valuable, and the people that you're sharing it with feel valuable about themselves, or someone who's gifting it feels like that person is valuable. This is how we raise our self-perception of each other, how we invest in our community, how we grow as a collective. This is it. It's happening in this room right now. And I feel like some people who are watching this, they're like, y'all are that's not that deep. It is that deep, though, and I want to ask you, why is it that deep for you?
I think it's that deep because we are the dreams of our ancestors. We are the dreams of our ancestors. And, once upon a time, these platforms, these luxuries that we currently have weren't available. And we have an obligation. We have a commitment, to push our ancestors' dreams that much further. And, how dare I have these opportunities to sit with you? How dare I have these opportunities to celebrate you? How dare I have these opportunities to employ people on my commercials? How dare I have these opportunities to push ideas forward and not do it with purpose, do it with intention? Because guess what? My efforts have inspired others to enter the fragrance space. And I'm proud. They call me a fragrance OG. And I'm proud of that. I'm proud to be a fragrance OG, And part of it is because I've inspired people to come into the space. And that is a reflection of the dreams of our ancestors. We have an obligation. I have an obligation to inspire those coming behind me. And if it's not fragrance, that's fine, but inspire you to be that business person, that entrepreneur, that doctor, that lawyer, whatever it is, that architect, that astronaut. We can do it. We can do it. That's the dreams of our ancestors, that we can do it. And so it's important to me because we're bombarded with a lot of messages and images that are to our detriment. And until we speak on it and recognize it in the moment, we may fall prey to it. We'll fall prey to it and see how what we're doing is only limited to that moment, that space. No, it's bigger. It's bigger. It's much bigger. It's much bigger. And so, I always try to remind myself of my obligation, and I just want to make a positive contribution to the effort. Like the struggle continues, and we have an obligation to keep the flow of fight, the flow of protest to a degree, in everything that we do. And that's just my personal feeling.
I there's so much in there, so much to unpack, like, because who you are is a protest to what others believe you to be.
Yeah.
And how you walk in the space, how you walk in the room is a protest. The love that you have for yourself is your protest. Yeah. You are a living example. And that is exactly what it's like when I say we are aligned, I truly do mean it. That's exactly what I'm trying to project. My love is making people angry. My love is like making people want to copy what I want to do that don't look like us, want to imitate. My love is causing so much disruption, so it only makes me want to lean in.
No, wait. Talk to me about that, because I have seen some things, and I mean, how have you responded to people who have now taken what you're doing and using it, Talk to me about what people have done.
So I started doing Affirmations for Black Men about a year and a half, almost 2 years, going on 2 years now this summer. And at first I got, in the beginning, the first couple months, I was getting viral videos after the 10th video, but there was a lot of hate in the comments. A lot of people who didn't look like us were upset that affirmations weren't for them too. Well, why can't you just affirm everybody? Why can't you just, this is racist. I got called racist. I got called a pick me. I got said I should stop, and people were trying to do their best to discourage me, but that only, fueled me more. Like, y'all,
Absolutely.
Y'all about to make me feel like, because I love the men in my life, in my family, in my community, because I look up to them, because I feel highly about them, and because I love them, you're not going to make me feel guilty. You want me to feel guilty because I love the men in my life. Because why does that irritate you? Why does that make you mad? And that's because it was a reflection of how people wanted us to feel about ourselves.
Yep.
And these are the same people who are selling us products. These are the same people who are employing us. These are the same people who are putting us in jail and causing higher sentences, who are reporting news on us. They want us to perceive ourselves as less than. And the moment that we believe ourselves to be in high regards, it becomes an issue. It sheds my love sheds a light on that hate and how loud it is and how disruptive that was. And I was like, oh wow.
Yeah.
And then the imitation started coming in after the community came. I reached about 50,000. And then there was women who also did not look like me who wanted to join in because they loved the attention that I was getting. They wanted the attention too. Like I said, Black men are the most desired, okay? Everybody loves y'all, everybody wants y'all's attention. And so I started getting that attention. But at first, it didn't come with the love at first. It was a lot of hate in the beginning that I had to get through. Yeah. And then everybody was like, oh, okay, she's serious. She means she's not gonna quit. So the hate started kind of drifting off because people have jobs and they realized that it wasn't working and that it was actually, fueling me. They stopped. And then the love came in and then the imitation started. And so when that happened, man, I was just like, wow. And then there's this one woman specifically, she was getting millions of views. And even Black men felt really good to obviously, receive that affirmation from anybody. Like, it's so dry out here. They were like, wow. But the thing that I didn't like about this particular influencer and her content was that she was copying my affirmation. So she was looking at my videos and copying word for word the exact affirmations that I was doing.
She was leading in, dear Black man. And if this is not for you, keep scrolling. See, verbatim.
It was more like, Black man, I value you. So that value that we were just discussing and how important that was to us and why we started it, our purpose, she took those messages and she made it seem like, me as a white woman, I value, and copied my words. And I was like, my goodness, I don't even think you know how much that hurt me, or how much that, that creativity, that genuine love and authentic relationship that I have with Black men, you wanted to take that for yourself and receive that same attention. So you copied me. Like, it wasn't even authentic to your experience. It was you took my experience and acted like it was yours because you wanted the attention. You wanted the validation, and I was just so disappointed and heartbroken because I don't think even, there's layers to our experience that certain people don't understand. And I don't think that she truly got, how, like, the depth of what she was doing and how it was like literally raping my content and making it hers. And the fact that she was getting more views and has a bigger following than me and making it seem like she started the movement, like our love was originated through a white face, and what that actually, it's more divisive than connective for our families and for our communities. I don't even think she got it. And she has young Black boys too. Okay. And she's not going to understand their experience as much or be able to communicate to them as much. So she genuinely did have a love for Black men because of her children. But I really wish that we would have collaborated.
Yes.
Like that word you said.
Yes.
We could have collaborated instead of that competing. Yeah. I love them more or whatever right. She tried to do.
Right. Yeah. And I think we need to do we need to respect and understand the value of collaboration. Collaboration multiplies, and I think you're right. I mean, in the fragrance space, I'm doing some great things, and a lot of people may have seen the headlines, but name, image, and likeness for college athletes. College athletes now can make money off of their name, image, and likeness. And as a brand, now we can approach athletes and collaborate with them and curate their name, image, and likeness journey. Curate the look, the messaging, the audience for them. And what's happening is, a lot of people are using this as an opportunity to further exploit people who look like me, look like you. And I have been trying to press a message during my NIL journey with my brand, is this is an opportunity for us to curate and own the messaging, the branding, the imagery that's authentic to us. And ask, right, and be very deliberate in telling the world that name, image, and likeness, we own that, and educate our young men on the importance, particularly in athletics, the importance of owning and being in control and curating your name, image, and likeness. Again, you are the dreams of our ancestors. And there's a messaging and an audience, or there's an audience and a messaging that you can actually curate and make an impact on the narrative of people who look like you, talk like you, walk like you. And we cannot take that for granted. We cannot take that lightly, because if we do, then we are at risk of that messaging being curated by someone, by an entity, by a corporation, by a brand that really only cares about one thing, and that's money. And that is where I think there's a disconnect. And again, it's deep, it's nuanced, it's layered, it's historical. Our association with money stands for so many other things, besides the transaction. Money stands for so many other things, and our, perception of ourselves and perception of others. And so, I just think when it comes to making a strong stance about the value of our brands, the value of what we stand for, and the value of how it's presented to our community, if there is not a conversation about collaboration, then it's misplaced. It's misplaced, and I've always felt that way. I'm not hard to find. I tell people all the time, you can Google me. Google me. I'm not hard to find. Let's collaborate. We can collaborate and touch audiences that other people cannot touch to a degree and a magnitude that is unprecedented. Let's collaborate. Let's make it happen. I'm not hard to find. I'm easy to find, and it's the same with you. Like, you are doing something that is so needed and so apparent that is needed from the response that you're getting. And it's probably amazing how you see people want to challenge every inroad that you do in this space. And I'm going to tell you why, because they want to keep it right where it is, devalued.
Come on.
They want to keep it right where it is, devalued.
Shawn.
And that's where I refuse. I refuse to enter a space and allow what we are doing to be devalued. It's unacceptable.
Or for us to be devalued.
Absolutely.
Because I'm going to touch upon what you said about the ownership. I think because it gets deep. We were property at one point.
Right. And
some people, some businesses, some entities are still acting like we still are.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
You know what I mean? Yeah. And so that's why it's so important, because you had Gucci, who had a campaign recently that was super racist, and so the imagery, right? This man is the imagery that you're giving, who you are, how you feel about yourself, how you feel about your community. To buy with you is to take back ownership of our likeness, of our imagery, of ourselves, and how we feel about ourselves, the pride when you put it on. It's a remembrance. If you knew how important scent was to the psychology of the brain, and I don't think it gets deep. And, I absolutely enjoy this conversation, because people don't understand how many people are operating to keep us in a certain box. And if you've followed me on my platform, you've seen how many people have tried to stop me up until I got to this point. And now I'm sitting in a boardroom with Shawn talking to a CEO of Ovation for Favorites. You tried to stop me. You tried to stop us. And now we are collaborating. Now we are purchasing with each other. Now we are talking to each other. Now we are getting stronger together.
Yeah.
I came and got this far so I could sit here and talk to you.
Yes. And you know what? And I want to just take this opportunity to celebrate you and really affirm you, because your journey has been one that I know has been hard, difficult, arduous task of trying to, make this message, create this message, and make it impactful and accepted. That's a hard task. And so I celebrate you. It is well deserved. You are doing big things, great things. Continue. And see, so this is a part of what, again, I feel like the collaboration is about, because not only am I trying to, affirm us and build confidence in us, but also with my brand, create messaging that says how important it is for us to affirm, our Black women, I say this all the time. I say, look, every man deserves an ovation, but every woman deserves an encore. You know why you deserve an encore? Because you already on stage, you already performing, you did your final act, and you coming back on stage. And that's what each and every one of our Black women deserve, an encore. And Black men, we need to have that message front and center, and I think that's a big responsibility. And we have many messages combating that on why we shouldn't give you an encore, why we shouldn't celebrate you, And so, there's a sense of accountability that goes both ways for us as Black men, and I think to our Black women. We have an obligation. We have that's what we need to do. And I get it. A lot of people will argue, this is my authentic self, and this is who I am, and this is what I feel like doing. If you don't like it, just, you don't have to follow me. You don't have to watch me. You don't have to listen to me. I think that's, I think it's an excuse to a degree, once upon a time, there was this whole debate, are athletes role models? I take the stance that yes, you are. Anyone that can impact someone else's psychology, someone else's, sense of self, that makes you a role model.
Absolutely.
That's what makes you a role model.
And talk about the collaboration between Black men and Black women.
Oh, for
because
sure. Yes,
we can
yes.
get
Oh,
into
let
that
me tell you.
conversation because I need y'all to know we are stronger together.
Yeah,
And there's a lot
come
that
on.
goes into the
Listen.
nuance of that and the divisiveness online that's trying to separate Black women and Black men and the Black family.
Yes.
Because people want to utilize us and, individually as a community.
Yeah.
And it's like divide and conquer. And so I want people to understand that a huge purpose of my content is to connect Black men and Black women because we are stronger together.
Yeah.
And so, yes, I am affirming Black men, but I'm also affirming Black women that we can be connected.
Yeah.
By this conversation that I'm having with Shawn, I would have never gotten here if I didn't hold Black men in high regard. Because Shawn would not be sitting with me if I didn't. Okay, if he saw my content and I'm, talking about Black men in a particular way because of my trauma and my experience, he'd be like, okay, we're not aligned.
Right.
And I would have never connected with you.
Yeah, it's so important because right now, Black men and Black women, if you look online, we're at war with each other. We're in constant battle with each other. There's a narrative that we don't need each other. There's a narrative that, one is better than the other, or one with versus one without is better. And, I think that's a distraction. I think it's a distraction. I think it's the long-term impact of the debate itself is detrimental. Listen, to solve our problem comes down to Black love, Black families, and Black economics. That will solve all of our problems. Black love, Black families, Black economics. And we need to do everything we can to put guardrails, protection, security around these things. And so for me, it can be exhausting to hear these people, to me, that have no authority to talk about relationships. I'm talking about relationships. What needs to happen is we need to start being deliberate and showing our intentions on how we celebrate each other and uplift each other. Stop the all the negative and fighting and just all that. There needs to be, if nothing else, there just needs to be a balancing of the information, a balancing of the messaging, because right now it's all skewed in one direction, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
It's skewed in one direction. And so, people will hold podcasts and debates on this topic, and it gets all the clickbait, it gets all the all the sound bites and goes viral. But I want to say it here today to you. One, your platform opens the door for a different paradigm. One that once upon a time reigned supreme, and your platform is now opening the door back up for people to reimagine what it looks like for us to be together, affirming each other in a relationship that speaks to Black love, Black families, and Black economics. And so I applaud you and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You don't know how much I needed to hear that, because I was actually not just getting hate from outside of our community. I was getting hate from inside of our community too.
Well, how? What are people saying inside the community?
So there was some Black women who did not like that. They did not like that I was affirming Black men the way that I was doing it because of their own personal experiences within their own community. There's a lot of Black women who felt that Black men didn't deserve what I was serving. So it was like, really, that was hard. That was harder because that was closer to home.
Right.
And what people don't realize is that what you say and how you interact with people, you are manifesting things as well, right? These are cycles that we are trying to break, generational curses that we are trying to break. Right. So within my own personal experience, what I want people to know is that ever since I started affirming Black men, my experiences with Black men have changed. Ever since I started affirming Black men, my perception of Black men have changed. Deeper and deeper, my empathy for Black men has changed. So I am a completely different woman from the start of this journey to where I'm at now. Because of the words that I'm calling upon Black men's life. And not only that, not only have I changed, the lives of the people who I am speaking over, their lives, they have told me their lives have changed. Their perception has changed. And so we are literally, as we are speaking life into each other, we are manifesting different realities because so many of us are used to that opposite. And that's the cycles that they were living in. And now, as we were talking and as we were speaking love and light into each other, we are existing in that.
That's it. Listen, what you are saying, I mean, has really struck a chord because in my journey, my own community people have challenged me and said, no, every man does not deserve an ovation. And again, to your point, I understand from their experience where that opinion originates. And what I challenge, or at least how I rebut that is that, your experience may reflect a different perception of what every man deserves. But that's what it is, your experience. And let's talk about your experience and let's talk about what the messaging that I'm putting out into the market, if my messaging would have positively impacted that person where you had an interaction with, imagine how your experience with that man or that person or that situation would have been different if my message was allowed to live, was allowed to breathe, was allowed to circulate amongst our community unfettered. Imagine what your interaction would have been. Because guess what? That man, he would have had the pause. He would have known that there was a level of accountability to how he was behaving towards you. And I say this all the time too. The biggest responsibility of, checking Black men's behavior is Black men. So yeah, we need to step up. We need to step up. We need to step up. And that's real. And that's how I feel. And, we need to understand that it's our behavior and the accountability of our behavior that is life changing. And the hate that I've gotten, again, I recognize a lot of people have personal experiences that haven't been that positive, but that negative experience does not negate the importance of this message. Every man deserves an ovation, and every man that thinks that he doesn't, I want to say to you, you do. And because you do, you now have an obligation. You have a commitment. There's a level of accountability for you to behave differently. And that is what we are trying to impact. And I'm doing it through a brand, through a fragrance, because every morning I want there to be a reminder of what it means to step out of your house, step out into the world, being unprotected, unguarded, with all the things coming to you. I want the aroma, the aura of what you are wearing to symbolize that shield, to symbolize kind of your obligation to walk through this world and bust through all of the challenges, cut through, all of the bullets that are flying your way. That's what this represents. And that's, Gucci ain't saying that. Prada ain't saying that. But you're willing to spend $300-400. They just want you to buy it so that you feel like you can, be on the nose of a yacht, out with, all the trappings of what it looks like to be whatever. That's not the messaging that we're trying to do. That's not what this is about. And again, it's through the lens of a fragrance, which people might say, oh, it's just a fragrance. It starts with, it's the whole mission, the whole voyage starts with, that first step. And so that's what this is. This is just, and to be honest with you, most people put the fragrance on, when you talk about your wardrobe, the fragrance is probably the last thing that you put on. Guess what? The last thing surrounding all the effort that you put on to get to where you are is probably the most powerful. It is the shield. It is the shield that protects you. And people smell it before your presence is even seen. They smell it. Before you speak a word, they already know. And you got to step into that. You have to step into it. And that's what the brand represents. And that is why it's important for us to embrace it, to embrace your power. Because guess what? Once we affirm your power, the power that we have, it coalesces. It connects. And people, we don't see that. We don't see that. We don't understand it when we're putting on Gucci and Prada and Yves Saint Laurent. They don't care. They don't care. And so that's it. That's part of my messaging. And that's why, because again, it's value. It's what else does that product that you are spending your hard-earned money, what else does it represent? And it's such a hard thing for people to understand. Before you separate yourself with your dollar, ask yourself, what else am I buying with this fragrance? What else does it represent? And that's the message that I'm always going to have. I'm always going to say that. What else does it represent?
What am I investing into? And I'm going to kick this off. Like, this was absolutely amazing. I feel like this energy in the room. We are doing something really special. And so I want to kick off the interview with an affirmation to you and to Black men everywhere, and to pick up this fragrance. And I'm going to look in the camera. I'm going to look at Shawn. But Shawn, thank you so much for coming and joining me today. You are an example that we all need. You are a good investment. I want to support you. I want to have my followers invest in your fragrance, Ovation for Men, because you guys are also a good investment. You are valuable. Black man, come on. Come on. You are the greatest investment that you will ever make. And so supporting each other, supporting Shawn, buying his product is an investment into you, and it is a shield into your life to remind yourself that you are worth the money, you are worth the investment, you are worth the praise, you are worth the ovation. And we love you, and we support you, and we support brands that invest in you. That's why we're having this meeting. As you can see, if you can't tell from this interview, Shawn is invested in you and your perception and wants to protect you. And so do I. And we love you. And thank you so much for joining us today, Shawn. That was amazing. Thank you for coming.
No,
if you like this, make sure to subscribe, make sure to follow Shawn, make sure to support him. We're going to have all the links down below. And if you have any questions, if you have any feedback, let us know. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll catch you another time. I think this is going to turn into a beautiful opportunity and collaboration.
Thank you, Nicole.
Absolutely. Thanks. Bye.